Draw the inverse of f of x equals 4x squared restricted to the domain from 0 to infinity. So first of all, I would like to graph the function f of x equals 4x squared. This is a quadratic function. It's stretched by a factor of 4, so it will look like this. The problem does specify that our function that I just drew will be restricted to the domain from 0 to infinity. What this means is that the left branch of the parabola will need to be removed. The reason for this is because if we don't remove the left branch of the parabola and keep it the way it was, the function will not be one-to-one and it will not have the inverse. Okay, so here is the branch of the parabola f of x equals 4x to the power of 4, and we have to first find the inverse of that function and then graph it. So to find the inverse of a function, I will take the equation that's given to me, and in place of f of x, I will write y. The rest of it will stay the same. Y equals 4x to the power of 2. Now the next step in finding the inverse is to exchange the places of y and x. So where you see y, you will write x, and where you see x, you will write y. Now what's left to do is to get this y here by itself, and then we're done. So to get this y by itself, the first thing I want to get rid of is a 4. To get rid of the 4 that is next to my y squared, I will be doing the opposite of however the 4 is attached to my y squared, and it's attached by multiplication. So to remove it, I will be dividing both sides by that 4, which cancels it next to the y, leaving me with x over 4 equals y squared. Now I need to remove the square. To remove the square, I will be applying a square root to both sides of my equation. On the right side, where I used to have my y squared, it's now just the y because the square root cancels the square. On the left side, on the top of the fraction, I will have a square root of x. At the bottom of the fraction, I will have a square root of 4, which is 2. Now we are done. Y is by itself, which means the inverse of my function is the square root of x over 2. Now we need to graph it. The easiest way to graph the inverse of a function, especially if you already have the original function, which we have the branch of our parabola, is to graph a diagonal line. I'm going to graph it in dash. It's not part of the graph, and we will actually remove it later on, but for now I will have this diagonal line. This line actually has an equation y equals x, and the point of drawing this line is to reflect the red graph that we already have over that line, so on the other side of that line. The first point of my red graph is 0, 0. It's right here. And because it's right on our diagonal line, there is no reflecting it. It will stay where it is. The second point that we have right now on my red graph has coordinates 1, 4. So for me to reflect it, I will be exchanging the x and the y. So instead of 1, 4, I will be drawing a point 4, 1, and that point is right here. And then I connect my 2 points, and there you have it. The blue is the inverse of the red.